Rob and Baz from Kampala, I suppose first off, let the listeners know a little bit about you.
Myself and Baz are both from Naas in Kildare. We've known each other for a very long time, but we only started playing together in a band kind of mid-22. We had known each other for a long time, but kind of I started a new band after the demise of my previous band that needed a bass player. I'd known Baz for a long time and hit him up. And so, yeah, that's the two of us. And then there is Dan, who's our recent addition lead guitar player. He's from Dundalk in County Louth. And Justin, who was our drummer, who's from Dublin. So we put our first single out in 2022 and since then have played a lot of shows around Dublin. We've recorded 10 songs actually, and which are all up on Spotify now. We've played a lot here and a bit in Germany as well. So we are like an alternative rock band, I guess you would call us. And I think our biggest influences from the 90s and noughties, so like The Cure, Depeche Mode, then the whole grunge thing. So we kind of tried to marry a little bit of US influences with some UK influences, and that's how we arrived at where we are.
How did you get into music growing up? Was there someone that inspired you?
The first introduction to music was an older cousin, and I was lucky enough that he was into good music, because it could have been oh so different, I suppose, had I been led up the wrong path. No, he was into like The Cure and Joy Division and that kind of thing, and Pixies, which is a good place to start anyone's musical life. And around that time, after I discovered that music, I picked up an instrument, picked up a guitar, picked up a bass. God, never looked back.
For me, it's actually quite interesting. One year, one of the lads in school in third year got a drum kit for Christmas, and we had a small kind of the unpopular crowd in school who we sent, I was going to say sent a text message, but this was long before the age of mobile phones. So there was a phone call to everyone's house, and did anybody have an instrument, and did they want to go to his attic? And my brother, being very of an 80s persuasion, had a Yamaha synthesizer that I'd never played, but I said, hey, and I went and gave it a go. And I must admit, from that first jam that night, I was absolutely hooked. And I mean, we were terrible, but we stayed terrible for a long time. But the idea of making music with a group of other people has always been something that has stayed with me ever since. It's kind of like my happy place.
What was the inspiration for making a band in the first place?
There's a sense of camaraderie with people that you make music with that is different to any sort of camaraderie you will have in any other sort of relationship. And I do think, especially with a band that lasts a long time, it is a relationship, and there is a lot of kind of interdynamic relationship stuff that goes on, and you have to be considerate of other people's needs and stuff. But I think that was a thing that I got hooked on, was the idea of being around 3 to 4 other people who got the same objective. It's something that brings you together. That and communally making art, I think, is a lot more satisfying than making it by yourself.
There's different kinds of music I listen to. There's music I listen to for moods and music to work or to get stuff done. But then there's music that just stops you in your tracks, and music that just makes me want to make music. Not all music makes you want to do that, but the music that does, it has a really powerful effect, and it really compels you to create and to seek other people who are like-minded. And half the battle is to find those other people. And when you do, to recognize that you have found them, and that you got to keep it, and you can't let it go, and you've got to hone it and nurture it and work it for what it is.
And I know you guys mentioned a couple of people that you look up to, but is there someone in specific that you guys look up to when you're writing your music?
I would be the principal songwriter in the band in terms of like the inceptions of songs, right? And ever since I was kind of about 20, maybe more 23 or 24, something like that, when I kind of understood what good songwriting was, I've always thought Martin Gore from Depeche Mode is kind of like the best songwriter on the planet, personally. The way that Martin Gore is able to talk about what goes on in the world and then frame it in mood and emotion driving sound is something that I've always found massively inspirational. So as a songwriter, Martin Gore and probably Eddie Vedder would be the two that would stick out to me the most as being the biggest inspiration in terms of songwriters.
And how about yourself, Baz? I know that you're one of the performers in the band, but who do you look up to if you're getting into the writing of the music?
The people I've always sort of sought to imitate be the likes of Robert Smith and The Cure and Trent Reznor, bassists like Simon Gallup, basically, post-punk players, Peter Hook, that type of thing. I have my influences, but I try to do it my way as well,
Your track, It's Not Me, It's You, is the reason we're chatting, I suppose. Tell us a little bit about it, and is there a story behind it for one of you?
It's Not Me, It's You is I had a situation recently, a relationship-driven situation, which was not actually a romantic relationship, but like a professional relationship where my situation changed. And I think in a lot of times when unfavorable things happen to you, you can look at yourself as going kind of, what did I do wrong? Which is the whole kind of, when you break up with someone and they say to you, listen, it's not you, it's me, is the traditional saying that people kind of, you know, dissolve themselves of the responsibility of, or dissolve you of the responsibility, I should say, of the heartache or whatever. And this was a situation where my life changed in a way where it was an unfavourable change and it was nothing to do with me. And I thought it would be an interesting juxtaposition to kind of give myself the pass of going, you know what, it's actually not me, it's all you. And that's what the song's about. It's about realising that stuff can happen that's negative in your life, and you have to know when it's your fault and when it's not. And in that situation, it wasn't my fault, and that's why it's called It's Not Me, It's You.
Your debut album is officially out. Tell us a little bit about the album, and why was now the best time to release your debut album?
The subject matter, as a songwriter in the band, the subject matter of the album is so largely about the state of the world now, and the complete turn into, just the way we kind of see it is, the animals are running the zoo. Like the way that the kind of hierarchy and the management of the world has fallen apart by politicians at the top level. And I think social media has had a major hand in that. And the way that people have sort of turned to social media, almost like it's replacing religion. And I think that the way the world has devolved in the last, I would say even 5 years, has been present as our band has formed and grown. And I think in the world we live in, it's kind of hard to not take that into account in terms of what inspires you to write lyrics. Because, I mean, you write lyrics about your life experiences, right? And the lyrics that I've written to these songs have all been inspired by the really strange situation that the world is in. And that's the reason for the name of the album, might being Madernity as opposed to modernity. Modern times are pretty mad. So that's what I think that's why the album happened as it did, because there was a lot of source inspirational material happening in the world, to be honest.
Looking back of your career so far, what has been a highlight for both of you? We
go to Germany every year now. This will be our 4th year going over, and we go over and we play some shows around Dusseldorf, and there's a studio that we stay in where we go, and you know, it's almost like a musical retreat. We go for 4 days, we stay in a studio, like the 4 of us stay in one tiny room in this studio, which is great. And the room is like where we sleep, but also where we rehearse. We go and we record it there the first time, and we go over there and write now. The first time we ever went over, we played a show in this really mad venue in this really like remote part of that particular part of Germany. And it was our first time interacting with German audiences. And they'd never heard our music before. And the reception we got in this tiny little room from probably about, I don't know, somewhere 80 to 100 people or something like that was unbelievable. And I think that night, the gig in the first place, in a place called Linnick in Germany, in a venue called Macmüller's, was the best experience I've had with Kampala since we started.
The Germany aspect of Kampala is always great. You get to go travel internationally and play your music to receptive audiences, you know, who enjoy what you do. It's great. It's a great part of it. Long may that continue.
What does 2026 look like for you guys? Are there some things planned that you can tell us about?
We made an EP, and we made a few singles in between the EP and this. We have had more and more people at our shows that we play both here and abroad. And I think that the time had come for us to kind of put something more kind of significant together. So we've written our album, we've recorded our album throughout 2025, and now at the beginning of 2026 we're putting it out. So we have a gig in Whelan's in April, a gig in Fred Zeppelin's in April. We're looking into some more dates around Ireland at the moment. We have a possible festival slot coming up that we're not allowed to talk about just yet. And then we have 2 shows so far, with maybe a third one in May in Germany. Almost certainly a festival slot in Germany in August as well. Believe it or not, even though the album's finished, I've actually kind of started writing the songs for what our next I think our next venture will be an EP, because an album takes a long time. We recorded our album ourselves in our rehearsal room. We didn't go into a studio. And one of my closest friends that I played music with growing up, who was one of the guys actually that was in that attic that day back in about 1994, he became our producer. We have the really, really wonderful luxury of being able to record ourselves. So we're going to make another EP maybe towards the end of this year. And that's kind of our plan, right? Is to get through this year, promote the album. Hopefully it kind of connects with people, and we have some really nice shows lined up to play. And I'm really excited about 2026. It's going to be great.
And I suppose finally, where can people find you guys on social media if they're looking to stay up to date with absolutely everything?
We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook as well. I think the best thing to do is go to kampalaband.com, because all of our tour dates are there, all of our social links are there, and what we're up to currently is generally kind of front and centre on kampalaband.com.